Give me 12 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Just 12 minutes of your attention. And I promise you will never look at a single dollar the same way again for the rest of your life. Because the man I'm about to tell you about started with absolutely nothing. A poor immigrant boy with holes in his shoes, earning $1.20 a week in a dark, damp factory basement. And he ended his life as the richest man on the face of the earth. His name was Andrew Carnegie. And here is the part that almost nobody understands, the part that should stop you cold. He did not get rich because he earned more than everyone around him. In the beginning, he earned less than almost everyone. He got rich because he saw money differently than everyone around him. The money itself was never the thing. The way he looked at the money, the way his mind processed a single dollar, that was the thing that changed everything. So for the next 12 minutes, I want you to set down everything you were ever taught about money, everything your parents believed, everything the world repeats without thinking, and let me show you how the richest man who ever lived actually saw it. Because I'm telling you, once you see money the way he saw it, you cannot go back. You cannot unsee it. Here's the first shift, and it is the foundation that every other one is built on. Most people deep down see money as something to spend. Carnegie saw money as something to command. I want you to really picture what happens in the average person's mind the moment money lands in their hands. Their brain instantly floods with things. The bills waiting, the thing they've wanted, the little treat they feel they've earned, the upgrade, the newer version. The money is spent in their imagination before it's even fully in their pocket. It flows in, and almost instantly it flows right back out, and it is gone forever. That is the mind of a person who will work for money every single day of their life, until the day they physically cannot work anymore. But something happened to a young Carnegie that broke that pattern in him permanently. He was given the chance to buy a small stake in a company, money he didn't even have, money his mother had to borrow against their tiny home to get. And then, a few weeks later, a check arrived in the mail. $10. Money he had not traded a single hour of labor for. He stood there holding it, and he later said it was the moment he understood the most important truth about money in the world. He said, "This is the goose that lays the golden eggs." In that instant, he stopped seeing money as something you spend and started seeing it as something you send out to work. A dollar, to him, became like a soldier you could send into the world, and if you sent it wisely, it came marching back home with others behind it. So he stopped asking the question that keeps people poor. What can this money buy me right now? And he started asking the question that builds fortunes. What can this money go out and do for me? Those are two completely different questions, and I promise you they build two completely different lives. So let me ask you right now, honestly, just between you and me. When money hits your hands, do you see something to spend or something to command? Here's the second shift, and once you see it, you'll notice it everywhere for the rest of your life. Every single dollar you touch is moving in one of two directions, and almost nobody stops to notice which one. A dollar is either flowing away from you, gone for good, or it is flowing back toward you carrying more dollars with it. That's the whole game. When you spend money on something that loses its value the instant you own it, a gadget that'll be old news in a month, a fancier version of something you already have that works fine, another thing bought mostly to impress people who, let's be honest, aren't even thinking about you, that dollar has left your life permanently. It's not coming back. But when you use a dollar to buy something that produces, an asset, an investment, a small ownership in something that pays you, that dollar goes out and works and comes home stronger than it left. Carnegie was almost obsessive about this distinction. While the newly rich men all around him were racing to buy the biggest mansions and the finest carriages, desperate to look wealthy, Carnegie kept his own lifestyle deliberately modest and quietly poured nearly every dollar back into building. He reinvested relentlessly. He refused to spend money just to appear successful, because he understood a secret that quietly destroys most people the moment they start earning more. Looking rich and being rich are almost always enemies. The person who spends every raise trying to look wealthy stays broke at higher and higher income, forever chasing a finish line that moves every time they get close. And here is the line I want burned into your memory. Every single dollar you spend trying to look wealthy is a dollar that can never actually make you wealthy. So think back honestly on your last 10 purchases. Picture them. How many of those dollars left your life forever? And how many did you send out to come back to you stronger? Here's the third shift, and this one quietly reframes your entire life. The poor buy things. The wealthy buy freedom. When most people come into a little extra money, they think immediately in objects. What can I own? What can I hold? What can I show off? What will people see? Carnegie thought in a completely different currency, and it's the currency that actually matters. He thought in freedom. Every single asset he bought was, in his mind, a small purchase of independence, a new little stream of money that would flow to him whether he worked that day or not. One more step away from ever again having to trade his hours for someone else's paycheck. That is what the wealthy are truly buying when they invest, and it's why they seem to think so differently from everyone else. They are not buying stuff. They are buying freedom, one piece at a time. And here's the cruel trap most people never escape. They spend their entire lives buying things, and they stay chained forever, because things don't free you. Things actually demand more. They demand maintenance, storage, insurance, upgrades, attention. Everything you buy quietly reaches into your pocket again and again, pulling the chain tighter. But freedom, real freedom, is bought only with assets, with things that pay you instead of charge you, accumulated slowly, one small piece at a time. So here is a question that can genuinely change the course of your life if you let it. The next time you are about to spend money, pause, just for a second, and ask yourself, am I buying a thing right now, or am I buying a step toward freedom? Because the hard truth is, you usually cannot buy both with the same dollar. You have to choose. And which one you choose, over and over, across a lifetime, is the difference between staying trapped and walking free. Now here's the fourth shift, and this is the deepest one of all. It is the reason Andrew Carnegie's name still means something more than 100 years after his death. Most people, whether they admit it or not, believe that money is the goal, the finish line, the point of the whole race. Carnegie knew something they don't. He knew that money was never the goal. It was only ever a tool. At the very peak of his wealth, when he sat atop the largest fortune on the planet, he wrote something that genuinely shocked the millionaires of his era. He wrote that the man who dies rich dies disgraced. I want you to really sit with that for a moment. The single richest man alive stood up and declared that dying on top of a giant mountain of money is not a victory at all. It is a kind of failure. How could he possibly believe that? Because to Carnegie, the money was never the trophy to be hoarded and displayed. It was fuel for something far larger than himself. And he lived it, completely. He gave away almost 90% of his entire fortune while he was still alive to see it work. He built thousands of public libraries across the world, schools, institutions, things deliberately designed to keep serving ordinary people for 100 years after he was gone. And here is exactly why this matters to you, tonight, even if there is almost nothing in your bank account at this moment. When you see money as the goal itself, you chase it endlessly, and it never, ever feels like enough. Because a number has no top, and a bottomless pit can never be filled. That's why so many people get more and more and still feel empty and anxious. But the moment you begin to see money as a tool, as fuel for a life, for freedom, for building something that outlasts you, every single decision you make about it quietly changes. You stop desperately chasing dollars, and you start calmly using them. So ask yourself the real question, the one that almost no one ever stops to answer. What is your money actually for? Not how much do you want. Everyone wants more. But what is it for? Because until you can answer that, no amount will ever be enough, and you'll spend your whole life running toward a horizon that keeps moving. So let me pull all of this together now, because your 12 minutes are nearly up, and I want this to truly stay with you long after the video ends. Andrew Carnegie saw money in 4 ways that almost no one around him did, and any one of them could change your life. He saw money as something to command, not merely to spend. He saw every single dollar as flowing in one of 2 directions: away from him forever, or back to him carrying more. He used his money to buy freedom, not things. And he treated it always as a tool to build something with, never a trophy to sit on and admire. Now here is what I need you to notice about all 4 of those, the thing that ties them together and makes this the most hopeful truth I know. Not a single one of them required him to be rich first. Every one of them was simply a way of seeing, a shift that happened quietly behind the eyes, fully available to a barefoot immigrant boy standing in a freezing factory basement, years and years before a single real dollar ever showed up in his life. That is the secret hiding in plain sight, the one the world somehow never tells you. The money followed the way of seeing. It did not come first, it came after. It always does. Carnegie proved it with his entire life, that where you start has almost nothing to do with where you finish, and that the whole fortune is built first, invisibly, in the way you look at a single dollar. You have just spent 12 minutes learning to see money the way the richest man who ever lived saw it. The only real question left now is whether you'll slip back into the old way of seeing tomorrow morning, or whether you'll keep these new eyes for good. So tell me down in the comments, which of these 4 shifts hit you the hardest? Which one did you most need to hear? I read every single one, and I genuinely want to know where you are on this road. And if this changed something in you tonight, even just a little, subscribe and stay close, because this is exactly what this channel exists for. Taking the timeless money wisdom of the people who built the greatest fortunes in history and placing it directly into your hands, week after week. You see money differently now than you did 12 minutes ago. So go out there and use it differently. Go build something that is finally truly yours.